in GTA. We're still on this double RP weekend. I think is what's going on. So we're gonna do some more races. And if you see the name of my playlist up there, GHIG or GHGG, I guess it is. I was just picking letters. We're gonna level this lady up a bit. Last video I was talking about wanting to build a 2001 Bullitt Mustang, pros and cons. I might end up talking about that some more. I found a Bullitt in town here, and there were only 5,582 of them made, and that was 14 years ago. So, you know, a lot of them were raced and wrecked and tore up and such. A guy at work was telling me he drove one back when it was new. He test drove it, and he had it sideways coming out of the parking lot and shot up to 100 on the interstate and such. And I'm not making fun of him, but I was just like, I told him, I was like, I'm not trying to burst your bubble here, but that's not fast. They're not fast cars. Kind of funny. I was talking to my dad about stuff from the 60s, and you know, it's easy to reminisce and remember those cars as being really fast and seeming like they had tons of power because they would just spin the tires forever. Honestly, the tires sucked. But I found a car and driver thing. I might have talked about this in another video. I don't remember. We're gonna talk about it again if I have. But I found a car and driver article where they had tested the. This is my race. Like, I know this race, and I don't have a clue where I'm going. This is Alley Cat. I know this race. Anyway, where car and driver had tested the prototype pre-production GT500, 1967 GT500 with a 428, and it did like I want mid 13s, low 13s in the quarter. That's moving out. That's pretty good. And when they got the production one, it was like 15.9 or something, 15.6. I can't remember. It was in the 15s, and that's not fast. What am I doing? Anyway, it was just about like 0.2 quicker than a Mustang GT390 from the same year. Kind of weak. If you go back and look, like, only a very few of those cars were actually like modern day quick. And they weren't the ones people had. People had, you know what I mean? Like, they weren't the ones average Joes had. They were the ones that a few richer people would have had. They were very optioned out, very expensive for the time. And some of the ones that were really, really fast, if you look at magazines from back then, they all kind of admit that they cheated a bit. They would have some kind of factory special tire on the test car and tune the carburetors all up and get them just absolutely perfect, and they definitely weren't in as delivered condition. If you really do your research, though, you can find that cars from the 60s were not near as fast as people remember them to be. And I say that to say, like, that guy that drove that Bullitt in '01, and it was like crazy to him. It blew his mind. It was the fastest thing he'd ever driven. You have to think in 2001, there were kind of like just a 3 cars in America that were faster than that built at the time. You had basically the Corvette, the V8 Camaros, Firebird, F-bodies, whatever, and the Viper. There might have been other stuff, but I mean, there wasn't much that was faster than that. And those cars, those year of the 60s, like, I don't know, let's say it's like 5 flat, or no, I'm sorry, like 5.5, 5.6 maybe. The GT I had was a barely a 13-second car on a great day, and that would not have been me driving it. I'm not the best drag racer. I don't do it all the time, so me driving it, it's a mid-low 14-second car. That's not fast. But when you compare it to when he was comparing to at the time, all the cars he had driven from the 90s, and they were all American cars and such, and stuff back then was slow. It was way slow. I kind of felt bad a bit. I've been called, you know, Buzz Killington and all that a bunch. I burst people's bubbles without meaning to. And it's not intentional. Like, I just, when I hear someone very much off base or their facts are way wrong and I know different, I want not to correct them or whatever, but to kind of set it straight. And that ends up making me look really douchey sometimes. I don't mean to. I just read a lot and want to share what I know. It's usually about cars. But yeah, I'd like to get an 01 Bullitt and build it up. There's a market, a small market. I need to do. It might be hard to do market research without money, but I would like to see if there is any availability or any desire for Bullitt or Cobra style rocker panels or the bottom door sill pieces. What race am I doing now? It's only make believe. That ought to be fun. Let's do. I'm gonna drive. I think I have the car. Don't see it. That's not good. We'll do this one. I thought I had an LG. Maybe I had custom cars off or something. I don't know. Anyway, but those door sill pieces or the rocker panels, I wonder if there's enough desire for those to produce them. They're held on with clips, so it would be easy to make them out of fiberglass or carbon fiber because there's not. Ooh, that actually got up that. There's not a. There's a. It's basically like three sides. There's not. I think, unless they wrap down just a bit. Anyway, I think it would be something you could easily make in a mold. It wouldn't have a bunch of contours that you would have to make multiple pieces and then somehow fasten them together. So I think it could be something that you can make in a mold. And if you can make it in a mold for fiberglass, then you can make them out of carbon fiber too. Because you can just lay carbon fiber in your fiberglass mold and then obviously get the stuff to vacuum shrink it or seal it or whatever. But I know that I would like some Cobra 0304 Cobra mirrors, which are painted and folding mirrors. And I would also like the door sills or rocker panels. Why do I keep calling door sills? I'd like the rocker panels for those cars. And the problem is those Mustangs are so old now. I mean, the newest one's 04. It's 2015. So, you know, the newest one's 11 years old. There just might not be that much of a market for those parts anymore. Should have gone on the other side of this. Climb that a bit there. I don't know. But if it's something, if I bought some, if I found some on eBay, and that's the thing, they're getting expensive. But if I bought some, or if I bought myself a Bullitt, and then took molds from those pieces and started recreating them, one, I don't know if there are any issues with legality there of copying a piece. I have no clue. I don't think so, because a lot of people make aftermarket, make stuff. But if I have molds for it, it wouldn't be like I'm jumping way too far. At least I have to checkpoint so I can go back up there. But it wouldn't be like I'm making a whole bunch of them and trying to sell them, and then like, oh no, I've made way too many, I need to sell them. Or I'm out of money, blah blah blah. It could be I make them if I get an order in. I know the factory ones are polyurethane, so making them out of fiberglass, you run into some problems because, you know, after, if you're making them off of 11-year-old pieces or whatever, or actually a 2001 car or a Bullet, so like if I'm making my molds off of 14-year-old pieces, they might not be perfect anymore. They might not be as straight as they once were. And might not fit other people's cars as well. So then you run into the issues of people saying, oh, this is a piece of junk, it doesn't fit very well, this guy sells crap, when, you know, you can take your pieces that you made and they will bolt right on your car, no problem. Something I'm thinking about doing. I need to look into polyurethane, I guess. There's probably a lot more to do with that, though, to make it. Seems like I can make something out of fiberglass pretty easily. I've never done it before. I need to get a shop built, because, I mean, I think that'd be cool. You know, if I made some molds and then started making those as, you know, I don't know what I'd sell them for. It would have to be a few $100s. I'd have to do a cost study and look at all my time into it and everything. And the problem when you start doing that stuff is you can quickly and easily math your way out of doing anything, because it just becomes way too expensive. It seems that people that do that stuff don't have quite the business background and do it for the passion, and don't necessarily worry about their per hour income when they're making those parts, and they do it and they have fun and they make a little bit of money. Might be difficult for me. That is something that I would like to do, though. I know not to hit this ramp. Why did I do that? Because, I mean, as these pieces dry up, as it becomes more and more difficult to find them. Oh my gosh, I just had a thought, too. I'd have to figure out a way to clip them. It'd be really cool to make the Bullet scoop cover pieces as well. But I don't know about making clips on them. I mean, I guess it could be glued on the back. Huh. I might just have to buy a set and get to working on that and figure out how to do it. I just don't know if there's enough market for it. I mean, I'd hate to spend all the hours it would take. Let's say I made, you know, let's say I got a Bullet and popped the pieces off and made molds from my pieces and then put my pieces back on my car, you know, and then made a couple sets to sell right off the bat just to have. I mean, I could have well over, I don't know, 100, 200 hours into them, and it's like, okay, I want to get paid at a certain hourly rate for my hours into this. That's I guess where you run into problems. You start trying to make your money back real quick. If I figure I could sell, you know, if I put 100 hours into them and I want $20 an hour, I'd have to sell 20 sets at $100 a piece, I guess. Something like that. My math might be off, guys. If it is, I apologize. I figure I could sell 20 sets as long as they fit okay. That's something to think about. Sports Classic, Sports, Super. Yeah, we'll do Super. That's something I'm going to do in the future, and that I do my detailing. And don't I have? I know I have a Zentorno. Maybe it's destroyed. I don't know. Anyway, at least that. I'm going to set up either an LLC or an S corporation. I'm not sure which one yet. And do a business on the side under that. Probably mostly detailing cars. And then using my personal cars, and the Bullet, if I do buy a Bullet, will probably be not necessarily mine, but it'll be the corporation's, and I'll use it to make videos and have some how-tos, you know, how to change your oil, change your brakes, change your brake fluid by yourself with, you know, certain kits and stuff. I'll, you know, do stuff like that. That's one thing I'm looking forward to doing as soon as I find myself a day job where I have evenings off and weekends off like normal people. And those videos will end up being on this channel, and I'll have to. Alright, I might start a separate channel for the driving with John for real, which I've already got a couple driving with John for real videos out there. I might start a separate channel for those. It'll be a business channel, or I'll have driving and detailing with John. That could be fun. That's just plans for the future, guys. Maybe I shouldn't talk about my plans for the future and just kind of make them happen then show. But hey, whatever. I'm excited. It's something I want to do. It's something that I can do without costing myself a whole bunch of money. And so I can see it happening within the next couple of years. And let me tell you right now, running your own little corporation, you stick that on the resume, and it's like, hey, I run this business on the side. It's profitable. I make money. And, you know, the IRS isn't after me for whatever reasons. It'd just look really good on the resume. Like, okay, this guy somewhat knows what he's doing, or at least knows how to figure out what he's doing. And I've always wanted to run my own business. That's been something I've wanted for a long time since I was a kid, so I'm going to do it. Might never have any employees, and it might never be big or take off, but there are other benefits to having a business. Drifted a little bit too much there. Let the rear end come out. Didn't get back in the gas quick enough. But yeah, there are other benefits to having a business. We shall see what comes of that. I'd like to get that. I'd really like to at least set it up this year. I found all the forms and stuff to do it, but I'll probably still go to an accountant, or probably an accountant, to set it all up and make sure I'm not screwing anything up. Oh, I need to practice with fiberglass. I've never done anything with fiberglass. I've watched it done before, though, and that's kind of scary if I'm thinking, hey, part of my business, I'm going to make some fiberglass parts for cars. Because at one time I bought some eBay fiberglass, like kind of homemade fiberglass fender flares for my 77 Trans Am, and let me tell you, they were awful. Absolutely awful. I'm not really willing to sell anyone something that they couldn't bolt on, right? Like, you know, slap a paint job on it and stick it on. So if I do make these things, they'll have cutouts for where the little clips go through and hold them in place. So basically, all you got to do is prep them and paint them, or take them to someone to have them prepped and painted. Pull the clips off your car, take your rockers off, put the new ones on. I would really like that. If I could do that, that'd be fun. And if I could sell, 3-4 sets a year, I think that'd probably be good. I probably wouldn't want to use the ones on my car, though. I'd want to have an extra set. And this is why I need to go ahead and set my corporation up, so if I do start trying to find a set to buy, It goes on a business. Uh-oh, hit that tree. Well, that's the plan, guys. We're gonna very much hopefully expand this YouTube channel and get a 2001 Bullet and make some parts for a 2001 Bullet that aren't made anymore. And I can make videos from that too. Hey, here's how I made these molds. And people can go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did it like that. That's absolute crap. I'd never buy any parts from you. And I'll go, well, hey, point me in the right direction. What can I do to make this better? I missed the ramps. Oh, I made it though. We're good. One thing that was frustrating, that car I went and looked at, I think I talked about it in the last video. Maybe I talked about it at the start of this video, I don't remember. But I went and looked at a Bullet in town, and I don't think I finished talking about that. And I looked at it, and it was like 5:15, 5:30 a.m. because I was getting out of work and coming home. And it looked pretty good. Like, the interior looked nice. I'm going to get off on a tangent here. I'll try to come back to the same thing. Ford in the 90s and 2000s, and even into the... I think they finally fixed it, but they used foam in their seats that was stiff at first but broke down too quickly and became too soft. So then a lot of the seats would tear up because the leather or fabric was allowed to... Wow, I got a lot of points there. The leather or fabric was allowed to stretch too much because the foam wasn't stiff enough. So when you sat down in it, it would pull too much and stretch it out. So you see a lot of Fords from the 90s and 2000s with tore up seats. Mustangs and Rangers especially, Explorers too, because, you know, Explorer, Ranger, same thing there for a while. Hang on just a second. I should be good for this one. Yeah, so you'll see a lot of Mustangs from that era with tore up seats. It's a very, very, very common thing. Even, you know, get up around 100,000 miles and they're showing somewhere. My wife's Mustang, she's very, very good on her car and was very nice to it. It's got some issues. Do I have custom vehicles on? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, maybe my cars are blown up or something. I need to check into that. I also need to take another drink or something because my throat's getting clogged up. Anyway, so we go look at this car and the interior is really nice. It's got the Steeda Triax shifter, which that's good. I prefer MGW, but the Triax is good. I've used those. To me, in my opinion, it goes MGW, Triax, and then Pro 5.0. In terms of shifters, some people think the Pro 5.0 is the best. I've used a Pro 5.0. I've never used a Steeda Triax. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I take that back. I completely apologize. I just said I ranked something and then never used it. That's dumb. I've used a Triax. I like it. But I like the shift of the MGW better than either of them because it just is a little bit smoother and a little bit longer. Like the Pro 5.0 I had was a ridiculous short shift, but it was so short I didn't have enough of a lever, so I was always kind of fighting the transmission. It was like I was having to manhandle it in every gear. My MGW, I got the comfort shift handle, which was even, you know, the longest option they had, and it, you know, it was a shorter shift, but that's not necessarily what I was wanting. But I wanted a better shift. You know, if all you want is the shortest possible shift you can get shifters that are so ridiculous short it's not even funny. But I wanted a better shift, smoother, easier, quicker, and I got that with the MGW. I never missed third, which is a problem with in the Mustangs. You know, so I never once missed third, even, you know, going all out. It's just perfect for what I wanted. And the MGW with the comfort handle feels more like is a better shifter for mountain roads and such. comes back further, closer to you, easy, you know, right there at your hand, good to go. So that was where it was for me. But this car is a Steeda Triax, and that's just fine. I've used one before, and a buddy's car was nice. Like, the MGW is a little bit smoother, but the Steeda Triax is fine. Anyway, tangents. I'm always going off somewhere. Car had a really nice interior. Now I'm looking at it's about 5:30 a.m. You know, we're just getting, it's summertime. It's almost to the longest day of the year, I think, or maybe we're past it. Not sure. But you know, it's starting to be a little bit blue sky and stuff at about 5:30, and I'm looking this car over, and I'm kind of up under it. It's at this little car lot, and the underside looks straight as narrow. It looks really good. The car's only got I'd found it online. It looked good in the pictures online. He's only got 116,000 miles on it. That's not that bad for an 01. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is pretty nice. I can't buy right now. Financial issues, blah blah blah, this and that. It's not the time to buy. If I do buy another one, I'm gonna have to. I'll save up and pay cash for it. I don't want to get another car loan. It's a bit silly right now. But so I was just looking at it because it was there and I wanted to look at it. So my wife wanted to look at it too. I was telling her about it, and she's like, okay, let's go down there and check it out. So I'm thinking this car looks pretty good, but I had noticed when I was there, the front fender wells were missing. And there were a couple unhooked connectors and wires there, and I was just like, okay, you know, that's a big, bad sign of a wreck. So I'm like, oh, geez. But, you know, looking up under the car, I know what to look for. I saw no creases, no dents, no no places where it looks like a hook had been in some of the holes in the bodies and pulled stuff back out. And so it looked really good. So we go down there about 8 a.m. Sun's up, nice and bright outside, and you know, pulling up to the car, it's like, oh, yeah, I could see stuff that I hadn't seen in the pictures or when I was there that morning. Both doors had very obviously been repainted, and not that great too. It looks like they laid the clear on with not enough there's always a guy there. I've said that before in another one of my videos. That either they had too much hardener in the clear, or I'm not real sure exactly what. I don't do a whole bunch of painting. I've helped and done some before, but not a lot. But it didn't level out all the way before it dried. So the clear had some, like, they put it on really thick, and it wasn't sags, but it was so close to being sags and runs that it wasn't even funny. It just didn't look good. So both front doors have been repainted. The front end of the car, though, looked normal, and the rear end of the car looked normal, like, you know, with 14-year-old paint that's been washed and waxed. It looked okay. So then I ran the Carfax on it, and it was like, oh, 7 owners, and it's been all over the country, and a wreck in 2011 that who knows how that was done, because it had a wreck in like mid-2011, and then also it said damage reported in 2012. So what I'm thinking is the car was in a wreck in 2011, like the thing says, and the person had it paid off and took the insurance money and spent it on some other stuff and then pieced it back together over time. That's kind of what I'm getting out of that car. Oh, 2 laps. A bit of a long race here. I don't know, but the guy had it priced at like $6,900 or something, which, excuse me, I got a lot of gunk in my throat. Ugh. But, you know, for a 116,000 mile Bullitt in very good shape, that's not a bad price. Not when I say very good shape, I mean like a very good driver shape, not like car show shape. But I'm like, okay, you know, this if I was in the position to buy right now, this wouldn't be too bad when I was first looking at it. But after I looked at it for a while, I was just like, hey, this is like a $3,500 car, because it's got some taking off again. My video recording stopped. But yeah, it's you know, has some major issues, and I feel bad because somebody's probably gonna roll up on there. They're gonna drive it. I'm sure the car probably drives fine. You know, the chassis looks straight and everything. They're probably gonna love it. They're gonna buy it, pay a bunch for it, and then all the Bondo that I'm sure is in those doors is gonna start cracking out, and it's just gonna look like crap. And whatever. I told my wife, I was like, if you were making a straight track car, you know, one that you were going to take just to road courses or just do races with and stuff, that'd be a car to get right there, because even it's kind of rare, like I said in either the last video or this one, it's a one of 5,582 made. There's just there was that many, and that's it. So it's kind of rare. It might be a collectible one day. The muscle car wars have escalated so much since that it might be overshadowed by a lot of more powerful cars. Might not. I don't know. Uh-oh. Okay, good. We saved it. But, yeah, so somebody will buy it and use it. But, yeah, if you were taking it to strip out and weld a roll cage into it and mod the hell out of the suspension and take it to you know, just be like a pure race car, that'd be the one to get. So then I'm kind of thinking, it's like, well, you know, making YouTube videos and doing detailing and stuff and fixing it up, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do. So then I'm like, well, I could sell a few things and go down there with like $4 grand cash and offer the dude 32 for it, and after he freaks out for a minute, pull 35 out of my pocket and say, hey, here's 3,500 cash, buy the car right now. I'm sure he bought it at an auction for much less than that, I would hope, given the shape of it. You know, anyone who knows anything about bodywork paint stuff can easily see that it's got some issues. But he might not take that. The guy might laugh in my face and tell me to go away, because somebody will show up and pay $5,500 or $6,000 for it. And I found another one on Craigslist locally. There's 3 in like the whole freaking region, like 4 states around me. There's only 3 of them for sale right now. But I found one that's like super ridiculous nice and supercharged and way modded and all that stuff, and that's not what I'm after. I'm after really kind of a more stock one. I just lost my hood. It's flying really well. Yeah, the other one I found has got some issues, like the clear coat's starting to come off on the roof. So that means it's like in the pictures it looks like it's got a fresh coat of wax on it. It probably is, the paint's probably very dry. And it's got the other issue, which just is odd to me. It says the car doesn't have a radio. It hasn't had one in it since I bought it. Like, why doesn't it have a radio? You know, you can see in the guy's garage that he's got a couple other older cars. One's nice and one that he's fixing up. So maybe he's like so anti-radio that he took the radio out. But that seems dummy. Like, why do you just turn it off, right? So that makes me think the radio has been stolen from the car. And why wouldn't you put another radio back in if it's one stolen? I mean, you can easily get on eBay and find a Ford Mustang radio, you know, that'll work just fine. So it's not that expensive. So why hasn't the radio been replaced? And probably because wires were cut. And probably because, you know, stuff was ripped out of the dash, and it could be a real bad deal, and you don't want to go messing with that. With wiring issues on cars, because it's a pain in the ass, it really is. So I'm just like, oh, that sucks. I mean, like I said, I can't buy one right now, and I'm not really looking to buy right now. It's going to be a while before I can do it. Hey, rank 28. But, you know, it would be cool if I could. And it would also be cool if I could find one that wasn't either highly modded or just weird with some suspicious stuff. And they're around. I know they are. Like my Mach 1, it was a little bit newer. It's an 04, but it had a few performance mod stuff I wanted to do anyway. I'm sure it's been raced a bunch by the previous owners, but it's only got 37,000 miles on it. And it will sit in my garage and continue to have 37 to 38,000 miles on it for a long freaking time. Now, that's not to say it doesn't get driven. I I pull it and my wife's Mustang out of the garage and let them sit there in the driveway and warm up, and then I'll take them around the block and stuff, and get the fluids moving through everything. But it might be they sit there and idle a bit, and then I might drive them 2-3 miles, just kind of poking around the neighborhood. Knock the rust off the rotors and get fluids move through everything. Every great now and then I drive my Mach 1 to work, which I don't typically do. I don't like to do that. People, for whatever reason, see nice things, even if they're older and cheaper nice things, and want to mess with them or screw them up. I don't really get that mentality, but people do stuff, so gotta be careful. And you might think, oh, who's gonna screw with a 2004 Mustang? Really? We're getting off of this. There we go. But like, I had it at work one night, and I stepped outside just in time to see some guys, like, they were starting to get a jack and tools out of the back of a truck to steal my wheels. And it's just stock wheels, but I mean, they look brand new, and they're all nice and shiny and stuff, I guess. Who knows what these guys were doing. But yeah, they were just about to steal my wheels, and I run out there and yelled and cussed at them. They took off and jumped in the truck and, hauled tail out of there. And I texted my boss, because I was just taking a walk around work, and I texted my boss like, hey, going to lunch. And I took the car home and got my truck and come back to work. You just never know what people are up to. Of course, that was the middle of the night as well. If it had been, during the daytime, well, I wouldn't drive it to work during the daytime, because people are going to hit you with their car doors. I know it seems some people just don't care about that, but I do. I don't want dents. I really don't get that mentality. Like, I know a few people that I love cars. Now, I'm keeping this one forever, and I'm keeping it nice and stuff. And then they'll pull in right up front at Walmart and then scream and complain and get all bent out of shape when they have a new door dent in the side of their car or door ding. And it's like, well, you shouldn't have parked up front. And they're like, well, it's a parking spot. And I'm like, no. You don't park all the way up front, and you don't park all the way out at the end of the parking lot, because that's where weird people sit and do drug deals and who knows what else. About 3/4 way out, where it's good and empty and no one parks, that's where you go. But yeah, if you park up front at Walmart or wherever you shop, big place, and then complain about door dents or door dings, that's your own fault. The daily driving stuff's going to get messed up. You're going to get issues and stuff that happens, but you can prevent a lot of it just by, walking 40-50 more feet. Am I all talked out? Absolutely not. Oops, sorry, I blew a bunch of air in the microphone there. I really want a bullet. That'd be cool. I was telling my wife, because she was talking about that too, and we were looking at them, and it's like, okay, I can, get a GT for less money, and I've already got the springs, so I was going to replace the struts anyway, so that's a cost that was going to happen anyway. So, what's the only other cost to get it up to the performance level of the Bullet? And it's like, because I really don't care about the power, 260, 270 horse, whatever, I'm fine with either one. So, get it performance-wise, what else does it need? It needs the bigger brakes. And not necessarily in the rear, just the front. So you know, the rear you can just do maybe slotted rotors and that's mainly just for looks, but slotted rotors and good pads, and you know, get you all the power you need in the back. You know, bigger rotors up front, just the Cobra kit, which is like a 13-inch rotor or something, and different calipers that have different brackets on them that send them out further. And you can do that for, I want to think it's like $600 you can do that for. So I mean, it's not a big difference in getting up to that bullet price. But the one thing I really like, you know, I like the GTs that have the big fake side scoops sticking out the side. I like that. I think it looks cool. I know they're fake. I know it's dumb, but I like it. Now, I had a 2001 GT. It was black. I loved it. It was a bit ratted out when I got it, and I fixed it up some. And it was just a fun car. But so I don't really mind. I do like the bullets had that clean look. I do like the no spoiler thing, which I can do. That's no problem. You can do that with one that has a spoiler. You just take the spoiler off and fill the holes. But the big thing for me, in terms of looks, I do like how those windows, the quarter windows, are different shaped on the bullets and the Mach 1s. But I've got a Mach 1 with those windows. So, you know, if I want to look at that for a minute and kind of revel in the beauty of a different shaped window, I know that's silly, shut up. But if I want to look at that, I've got that. It's out there in the garage. So, you know, we're getting down to the only thing that is enticing me about the bullets is their rocker panels that roll in under the car instead of going in and then popping back out like the V6 and GTs have. So it's like, okay, if I find a set of Cobra or Bullet rocker panels and put on a GT, I can still use them to make templates of. I can still, you know, make molds and then sell. I can do, you know, all that, and then have the look on the GT that I want. And even at that, I can get the sail panels for a Bullet or Mach 1 if I want that window shape, and just put them on the outside of the car, and it will give the same appearance on the outside, because you can leave the window, you can leave the interior trim, you can leave all that there. It's just from the interior it'll look a bit different. You'll be able to see the inside of that sail panel piece. That's like a, you know, it's a car that I'm basically going to build up to put on YouTube and videos and stuff. So I just won't ever have that in the camera. That's going to be just fine. So it's like, you know, I could spend, I could get a decent GT for $5,000. I've already got the springs, and I don't know, guys. By the time this video comes out, I doubt I will have one. So let me know what you think. You know, hit up the comments. 99 to 04 GT or 01 Bullet. Now, I have thought about the 01 Cobras. I don't really want a 99 Cobra, because it's going to be difficult to kind of discern or decide or figure out. So discern, yeah. If it's had the recall done on it to make more power, because they were like 20 horsepower shy or something like that when they came out of what their advertised was. But the thing is about those is I don't necessarily want the 4-valve, because any repairs are going to be much more expensive on the 4-valve cars. Time and chains and stuff, it's just all going to be more expensive to do than a 2-valve. A 2-valve is just simpler. There's less there. I can do more of it myself, I feel like, maybe. But another thing I like about the 2-valve cars, having driven a 2-valve and 4-valve car relatively hard, not on tracks or anything, but you can feel the weight of the engine is higher up, because the heads are a lot wider on the 4-valve and there's more weight higher up in the motor. And even though I'm pretty sure my GT had an iron block, I need to look it up, I don't remember for sure, but I know, like, my my Mach 1 out here has, not sure what that car before the recording stopped, but it has aluminum block and aluminum heads, and but you can still feel the weight up higher. It's a higher center of gravity, and you can tell. Which makes cornering kind of not odd, but it's just, you can feel it, or I can, at least. it seemed like in the GT I had, it cornered a little bit flatter because the roll center felt lower. And having experienced that, I went online and looked up some reviews from the time and found some people actually had said the same thing. But is my butt dyno as finely tuned as a automotive journalist? I highly doubt it. So maybe it's kind of in my head, but it does seem that the GT was more pleasant in the corners than the Mach 1 was. Mach 1 is. There we go. Yeah, like I was saying, hit me up in the comments, 99 to 04 GT, which really we're going to cut that back to like 01 to 04 GT. Or an 01 Bullet. Yeah. Like the 01 Bullet has the, 3550, the T3550 transmission, and the early 01 GTs had the T5, T45 transmission, which I actually prefer the gearing in the older transmission a little bit better, but the shifts are better in the newer one. But yeah, I don't like the gearing in the new one. However, I would prefer a newer car because, and I might lay you some information on you guys that you don't know about 99 to 04 Mustangs. 99 and 2000 had a split radio. There was the normal, they were both single DIN areas, and the top one was your normal radio cassette player, and either below that you had a cubby hole or a CD player. Now the 2001 it started, you got the update to a double DIN radio, which is good because then you can put a double DIN touchscreen nav in if you want, which is kind of a silly thing, but I think it looks cool. I kind of like it, so I might eventually do that. And plus, being a person who plays video games, I very much like having my map down on my, in the corner of my screen or my vision. So to have that in real life, it's just kind of cool. But so it's got that. The dash is slightly different. They changed the consoles too to have the cup holders in a different place. The 99 and 2000s, the cup holders are kind of more forward and kind of on the left side of the console a little bit, which gets really in the way of shifting if it's a manual transmission. The later ones are better, but not a whole bunch better. The 99 and 2000s have the rear defroster up on the left side of the dash, whereas the later ones have it on a button panel below the radio or below the HVAC controls. The 99 2000s have the fog light switch on the console, where it's down in that same little button panel on the later cars. And I think that's really the only difference up to 02 is that stuff. 03 and 04 have some more differences. They have different internal A-pillar covers, more insulation inside those A-pillar covers, more insulation inside the doors, different insulation throughout the car, and they also have a different material weather stripping around the door windows, because it's frameless windows. So where they press into the weather stripping on the door surround, the door frame, is where you get your seal. So they have a different foam rubber mix for the later cars, the 03, 04. So along with the better sound deadening materials in the car, you get less sound through the seals and a tighter seal overall for less water getting in car washes and such. Bet you guys didn't know that. Here's some other 99 to 04 Mustang information you guys didn't know. In 1999, most of the Mustangs say 35th anniversary on them. On the fenders, there's a little badge, 35th anniversary. So people will call 99s a 35th anniversary package. It's not. It just says 35th anniversary because it was the 35th anniversary of the Mustang. There is a 35th anniversary package, and they had black stripes on the hood. And they had special wheels. They were kind of like the GT wheels of the time, except the indentions in the spokes, whereas on the GT wheels, they are the same silver, like the whole wheel is kind of a painted silver, and the indentions come all the way back to the center of the wheel and the hubcap piece, or not the hubcap, you know, the lug nut cap piece, on the 35th anniversary ones, the wheels and that little indentation in the spoke is painted a little bit darker gray, so it kind of stands out a little bit, and also the indentation stops and has a rounded edge, or a rounded end, instead of just kind of opening up into the lug nut cap piece. Now in 2000, they had, oh man, I don't remember exactly. I think it was a spring edition or a summer edition, and it might have been like 1 year was a spring edition and 01 was a summer edition. I don't think it continued on to 01. I need to look that up again, but there was also like a special edition in 2000 for sure that had black stripes on the hood, and I believe they said either Mustang in them or something like that. There's ways to tell. Now that 99 also had a honeycomb panel on the trunk lid between the tail lights, and it was, I believe, the only factory 9904 New Edge Mustang to have that, and it's a kind of a popular aftermarket thing. My wife has one on her Mustang, but it was the only one to have it from the factory. Kind of cool. But that's stuff you gotta know, guys. Like, I have a friend who has an old Ferrari, and he goes to car shows and stuff and meets with people, and he's always having to correct them because they're just spewing false information about stuff. And he got mad once, and he said it well. He's like, if you're going to have something, you need to know about it. And I agree with him. I mean, with some cars, especially like newer cars and stuff, people that have them, you know, for a collection or whatever, just take them to a shop and everything. But if you're going to have an older car, I took the wrong way, it's out here on the asphalt. You need to know about it, because if people ask you, they're asking because they're interested, and they're asking because they want to know. You don't need to spew false information. And a lot of people do. When I had my 77 Trans Am, it was the worst. It was the worst. You know, you get people walking up, yeah, my buddy so-and-so's dad's uncle's grandpa's niece's nephew had one of these, and he special ordered it with a factory 455 Chevy motor. I'm like, okay, no, it didn't, because that doesn't even make sense. You know, people would just have these crazy stories, and a lot of times it would be they special ordered it with this engine or that engine or whatever bull crap. No, they didn't. If they had a different engine in it, it was because they blew up the factory one and stuck something else in it that was cheap, and then told you it was special. You know, I do realize that back in the late 60s there were a lot of kind of special production cars and real low number stuff, but by the time they got up in the 70s, it wasn't really happening. You know, I'd tell people that my car was actually more rare than a 73 455 Super Duty, which was only a half-year production car, but my car was more rare than that because it had the rear console, and 77 was the last year for the rear console, and there were not many made, maybe a few hundred. And that blew people's minds. Now, I wasn't saying it was worth more, and I think that's what they heard, that, you know, rare equals worth, and it definitely does not. But it was rarer. There were less. But, you know, that blew people's minds because they were like, well, my buddies had a rear console. Like, oh, yeah? Was it like carpet between the seats back there? Yeah, it's that carpet. That's that rear console. I'm like, well, carpet's not the console. And there's a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to go too far off into that, but yeah, if you have something older, you need to know about it. That's how I feel. Exactly. If I'm going to have these 99-04 Mustangs, I'd like to have a few more. I really like them a lot. I'm going to know everything about them. I don't currently know everything about them. I know quite a bit more than most people, but there's all kinds of little stuff. Like in 04, I don't know if you guys know this, but 99 to 03, there'd be a little net up in between, like kind of up on the headliner between the visors. There's a little net that could hold whatever, you know, cell phone, I guess beepers, back when they first came out. But in 04, they stopped putting the net up there, because 03 was the last year for the net, and I don't remember why they did it, but they stopped doing that. 03 Mach 1s have black valve covers. 04 Mach 1s don't have any paint on the valve covers, they're bare aluminum. Good stuff to know, right? 04, or not 04, but Mach 1s especially, the manual transmissions have the same forged crank as the Cobra, and yes, it is a different part number, but it is the same part. It is only a different part number because it's in a different car. It's the same part. Anyway, so yeah, the manual Mach 1s have a forged crank, same one from the Cobra, but they don't have the same rods from the Cobra as the 0304 Cobras, which I can't remember what rods. I think they used Manley rods. Can't remember for sure. I need to look that up. But not the same rods, not the same pistons. They, they have more compression stuff because the Cobra was a supercharged motor and had lower compression to fight detonation. But the automatic Mach 1s had a cast crank and have an RPM red line of about 6,200 RPM. I think that's right. Whereas the manual Mach 1s with forged crank have a red line of 6,850, something like that. But the fuel shutoff is just past 7,000 RPM, which for a 2003 and 2004, that's turning some pretty good RPMs for a V8. It's just little stuff like that you gotta know. No, excuse me, I'm yawning while I'm talking. Yeah, it's just little piddly stuff like that. You know, if somebody's trying to show you a car to sell you, you know, if you're looking at a car to buy, let's put it that way, and you walk up to it and you're like, oh, it's an 04 Mach 1, but it's got black valve covers. That might not be an issue at all, but it's something you know. It's something you can ask. I need to look that up too. I'm wanting to think. I think all Mach 1s had aluminum block. Cobras had an iron block and GTs had an iron block. I think. I need to look up the GTs. I know Cobras had an iron block because it was stiffer and stronger. We're going to keep the recording going here. This is going to be a long Let's Play. Super Dune, yep. Or if we're still going to have that problem where I hit the ramp and slow down on this one that we had in another video that I made about this race. We're going to run the bullet. I'm tired and I'm yawning, I'm sorry. Weapons enabled! Shooted the missiles. Oh crap! Oh, there's some room. Thought I was about to go off a cliff. Am I going to be able to make the jump, guys? Is it going to happen? Nope, car slowed down. I still made it, though. We're good. Oh, that was barely made it. Whew. That was a bit of a waste of a turbo boost there, but kept it on the road. Normally, if you hit the boost, it will give you grip, and the car will hook up better and go and straighten up out of that corner. But I didn't quite have it straight enough before I hit it, and it got a little squirrely on me. Oh crap. I was doing so good in this one too, and I screwed up right there. We're still on pace to set a pretty good time on this race. I enjoy this race a lot. Oh, in the video where I made this race, or in the video where I talk about making this race, I say, you know, Rockstar had published a race out here in this part of the map. And I did it and it was fun, but then I was like, I can do better than that. So then I made this. Whew. Took out that fence. You gotta get on the brakes early right there because you don't have much grip on the dirt. Sorry guys, I'm not talking much. My big spiel about cars is kind of over, I guess. I would like to find a independent rear suspension out of an 0304 Cobra, or even an 01 Cobra, because if I'm only putting 260 horse through it, it's fine to have the 28 spline axles instead of the 31 spline. Pretty sure that's correct for those. Turn that way. Oh yeah, that was close. But you know, so that would be cool to have that Cobra independent rear suspension. That adds a little bit of cost. If you're getting exhaust anyway, then you get the you know, the under the axle exhaust for the independent rear. But I'm having trouble finding entire independent rears these days. Like I was able to find them for years now. But now anymore it's pieces. So I guess people aren't buying entire rear ends. They're buying you know, the piece they broke or the piece they need, whatever. So you can find the cradle and you can find this A-arm, that A-arm, this piece, that piece. And I don't want to have to piece one together. I just want to spend $1,000 because that's how much they typically cost. Overshot that corner a bit. Spend $1,000 and have, you know, a LTL truck show up with a pallet and a pallet jack, and he brings the pallet up to my house with the entire rear end on it, and then I jack the rear end of my car up, set the frame on jack stands, and start undoing the rear end, pull the rear end out, put the new one in, hook up my brake lines, bleed the brakes, and then put wheels on and go. That's what I want to do. I need to start saving up pretty quickly here too, because as the parts become more and more scarce over time, as they will, I need to be able to buy the pieces that I need. Oh crap. Oh, we got it. I have to go back down the hill here. Whee! But I need to be able to buy them when I see them, like keep an eye on eBay and, oh, okay, there's a full rear end. Holy crap, my car is trying to get back up that hill. Persistent little bugger. But anyway, yeah, just be on the watch out for those parts, and when I see the stuff, just be like, you know, snatch, got the money, snatch, grab, and have it here. That stuff takes time though. You know, I've kind of just started to set up this idea for my business and getting the car and doing detailing and all this stuff recently, so still all a work in progress. What are you on, race 8 of 11? I think we're gonna do this race and then call this this video done. That's a purple Lamborghini. You gotta get used to the feel of this car again and how it rotates through corners. And I forgot that a lot of my checkpoints in this one are on the left side of the road. Uh-oh. Hit that wall there. Messed up my suspension because now my left rear tire's all jacked up. It's fine though. Oh, I slid too far. I shouldn't have done that corner so aggressive because I thought after that corner I was going left at the top of the hill, so I went real aggressive into it because it put me back on the right side of the road. And I needed to be able to stay on the left side, so I should have went slower into that corner to make the section of corners faster. But nay. I always go into that one too fast. It doesn't matter. Always do it. Doesn't matter what I try or if I remember, like brake early, and I'm only right into that wall. Still debating on this car that I built too, like whether it's going to have an interior or not. I mean, I already am planning on doing the Momo Mod 07 steering wheel. I'll leave the passenger airbag in place. So it's kind of like, okay, do I strip the carpet out, and I would probably take clear Plastidip and cover the whole floor so people getting in and out wouldn't scratch up the paint on the floor, because it should be primer and then some green overspray. If I get a bullet, I'll get a dark Highland green one. So it should be primer and then body cover. No, I take that back. It will be entirely covered in body color, but without clear coat. So it'll just be, the base coat. I know that I took my wife's interior out of her red Mustang and put sound deadener in it. So yeah, it'll be entirely that. So yeah, I'll probably take clear Plastidip if I do take the carpet out and do that. It'll get a good grippy feel, and then also protect the paint. If I'm gonna do that though, I almost want it to be a lighter color, because I mean, what you see in race cars a lot is white painted interiors, and it's not because they it's not because it looks good or is clean or whatever. It's mainly because they make body in white cars. They make pure white cars that stickers and decals and stuff show up really good on. So then, you get, and if they have that body in white, it means, two things. One, it typically is white, and then two, it's just a bare minimum of what you need, just basic car and nothing inside it and interior wise. And then you get your engine and such and everything, so you'll see a lot of race cars with white interiors, or the metal in the inside's white, and then the roll cage and everything. And so, to me, having seen that a bunch, it looks really good. So then I'm thinking, if I do that, I wouldn't want a dark color car. I'd want a lighter colored car. So then my mind instantly goes to, like, I think it was '04 only, the competition orange cars. So it's like, okay, a competition orange GT would look freaking killer. But yeah, just let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. We're gonna end this video here, and next video will be the next 9, 10, and 11. So next 3 races, and then we'll jump in and do something else. Check out my money and see where we're at. So yeah, I think that's what we're doing right now, guys. Like and subscribe. Come back for more. I enjoy making these. I hope whoever watches them enjoys watching them.